You imagine fake conversations in your head. You are rehearsing an argument that hasn't happened yet. Right now, in your head, you just imagined someone saying something rude to you, and you already have the perfect comeback ready. But that person said nothing. They don't even know this conversation exists. So why is your brain doing this to you? This is not random. This is not a glitch. This is one of the most fascinating things the human mind does, and almost nobody talks about it. By the end of this video, you are going to understand yourself in a way you never have before. You are going to see why your brain creates these fake conversations, who it targets, why it picks certain people, and what it is actually trying to tell you. Stay with me, because this might be the most personal video you have ever watched. Let's start at the beginning. You are lying in bed at night. The room is dark. The house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. But your mind is wide awake. And it is not thinking about tomorrow. It is not planning your day. It is replaying something that happened 3 years ago. Someone said something to you at work, or at school, or at a family dinner, and you said nothing back. You froze. You smiled awkwardly. You walked away. But now, in the dark, at midnight, you have the perfect response. You know exactly what you should have said. You can hear your own voice saying it. Calm, confident, sharp, and for a moment, it feels good. Then you realize that moment is gone. That person has probably forgotten it ever happened. And here you are, wide awake, winning an argument that ended years ago. Why does this happen? That is exactly what we are going to find out. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it mental simulation. But that term sounds cold, clinical. It does not capture what it actually feels like, because what it actually feels like is this. It feels like your mind has a private theater inside it. And sometimes, without your permission, it starts playing a show. A show with real people from your life, real conversations, real emotions. Except none of it is actually happening. And the strangest part is this. You are always the main character. You always get the last word. The conversation almost always ends the way you wish it had in real life. Your brain is writing you a better ending. But why? Here is the first thing you need to understand. Your brain is a prediction machine. That is its entire job. Every single second of every single day, your brain is taking in information and trying to predict what happens next. What is safe? What is dangerous? What to say? What to do? It has been doing this since the moment you were born, and it has gotten very good at it. But here is the problem. Real life does not always give your brain enough time to prepare. Real conversations happen fast. Someone says something unexpected. Someone criticizes you. Someone humiliates you in front of others. And before your brain can even process what happened, the moment is over. So your brain does something remarkable. It rewinds, it replays, it runs the scenario again. But this time, slowly. This time, with time to think. This time, with all the words you could not find in the moment. This is not a malfunction. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is practicing. It is preparing. It is making sure that the next time something like this happens, you will be ready. Think about the first time you learned to ride a bike. You fell, maybe more than once. Your brain stored that experience. It analyzed what went wrong. And the next time you got on the bike, your body already knew a little more, already knew what to adjust, already knew what to do differently. Your brain does the same thing with social situations. Every painful conversation, every moment you stayed silent, every time you walked away feeling small, Your brain stores it, analyzes it, and then, in quiet moments, it runs the simulation again. It is asking, what could have gone differently? What should I say if this happens again? How do I protect this person next time? That person is you. Your brain is protecting you. But here is where it gets really interesting. The people who do this the most are not the weakest people. They are not the most broken people. They are often the most emotionally intelligent people. People who feel deeply. People who care about how others see them. People who have a strong inner world. People who are sensitive enough to notice every detail of a conversation. Every tone, every pause, every word choice, every facial expression. These are the people whose brains run the most simulations, because they have the most emotional data to process. So if you do this constantly, if your mind is always running these fake conversations, it does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain is extraordinarily active. Your emotional system is finely tuned. You are the kind of person who does not let things go easily. And there is a reason for that, too. Let's talk about the people in these fake conversations. Notice something. It is never random strangers. It is never celebrities you have never met. It is almost never people you feel completely safe with. It is always someone specific. A parent, a coworker, an old friend who hurt you, an ex, a teacher who embarrassed you once, a sibling, someone who holds power over how you see yourself. Your brain does not waste energy on people who do not matter to you. It only runs simulations about people who have emotional weight in your life, which means every fake conversation is a clue. It is your brain telling you, this relationship is unfinished. This wound is not healed. This thing still matters to you, even if you pretend it does not. Here is something most people never realize. These fake conversations are not really about the other person. They feel like they are. You are imagining what they said. You are imagining their face, their voice, their reaction. But the conversation is not actually about them. It is about what you needed that you did not get. Let me say that again. It is about what you needed that you did not get. Maybe you needed to be heard, and they talked over you. Maybe you needed to be respected, and they dismissed you. Maybe you needed an apology, and they never gave one. Maybe you needed to feel worthy, and they made you feel small. So your brain creates a simulation where you finally get it, where you finally say what needs to be said, where you finally feel what you deserve to feel. The fake conversation is not an argument. It is a request. It is your inner self saying, I needed something. I never got it. And I am still waiting. Now let's go deeper, because this is where it starts to connect to things you might never have thought about before. Think about your childhood. Think about the house you grew up in. Were you allowed to speak your mind? Were your feelings taken seriously? When you were upset, did someone sit with you and ask what was wrong? Or did someone tell you to stop crying, to toughen up, to not make a big deal out of things? For a lot of people, the answer is the second one. And when that happens repeatedly during childhood, something happens to the developing brain. It learns that expressing emotions out loud is not safe. That saying what you feel causes problems. That it is better to stay quiet and manage the feeling alone. So the feelings do not disappear. They go inward, and they find another place to live. A private place, a place where no one can judge you, where no one can tell you to stop, where you can finally say all the things you were never allowed to say out loud. The fake conversation in your head becomes the only place where your real feelings are allowed to exist. This is why some people have been having the same imaginary argument with their mother or father for 20 years. It is not because they are stuck. It is not because they are weak. It is because they were never given a safe space to work through what happened. So their brain creates one, over and over, same person, same wound, same unspoken need. The brain is patient. It will keep bringing it back until something shifts. Let's talk about a specific type of fake conversation, one that almost everyone has had: the anticipation conversation. This is when something difficult is coming up. A hard talk with your boss, a confrontation with a friend, a difficult phone call you have been avoiding. And before it happens, you rehearse it. You imagine how it will go. You plan what you will say. You imagine their response. You plan your counter. You think of every possible version of the conversation. You might do this for days before the actual event. And then here is what usually happens. The real conversation is nothing like what you imagined. The other person says something unexpected. The whole thing goes in a direction you never planned for. And all that rehearsing felt like it was for nothing. But was it? Actually, no. Research shows that people who mentally rehearse difficult conversations beforehand feel less anxious during the actual conversation. They're calmer. They're clearer. They recover faster when things go off script. The rehearsal was not wasted. It was training. Even if the specific script never got used, the emotional muscle was being built. Your brain was teaching you how to stay regulated under pressure, how to hold your ground, how to stay in your body when things get hard. The simulation was the workout. The real conversation was the game. Now here is something that might make you a little uncomfortable. Not all fake conversations are defensive. Some of them are not arguments. Some of them are confessions. Things you have never told anyone. Things you were afraid to say out loud. Maybe you were imagining telling someone you love them, and you play out exactly how it would go. Their face, their reaction, the pause before they speak. Maybe you were imagining finally telling a family member how much they hurt you, and in your mind, they listen, really listen. They understand. Maybe they even apologize. Maybe you are imagining a version of your life where you made a different choice, where you said yes instead of no, or no instead of yes, and you are watching that version of your life play out. These are not arguments. These are longings, and they tell you something just as important. They tell you what you are hungry for, what your heart has not yet found a way to reach. Let's talk about the dark side of this, because there is one. For most people, mental simulation is useful. It is healthy. It is the brain processing, rehearsing, healing. But for some people, it becomes a loop. The same conversation, over and over, never resolving, never ending, just circling, like a song stuck in your head that you cannot turn off. This is when mental simulation stops being helpful and starts being harmful. Psychologists call this rumination, and it is different from normal simulation in one important way. Normal simulation has a direction. It is trying to find an answer. It is trying to prepare. It is moving towards something. Rumination has no direction. It is just spinning. It is replaying the pain without any hope of resolution, without any belief that things can change. And it is exhausting. Mentally, emotionally, physically exhausting. People who ruminate heavily often report feeling tired all the time, even when they have slept, even when nothing physically demanding has happened, because the brain uses real energy. The simulations running in your head are burning fuel. Your nervous system is responding to those fake conversations as if they are real. Your body does not know the difference between a real confrontation and an imagined one. It releases the same stress hormones. It tenses the same muscles. it elevates the same heart rate. You can exhaust yourself fighting enemies that only exist inside your mind. So how do you know the difference? How do you know if your mental simulations are healthy or if they have become rumination? Here is a simple way to think about it. Ask yourself this: when I imagine this conversation, do I feel clearer afterward, or do I feel more agitated? If the simulation leaves you feeling a little more prepared, a little more understood, a little more settled, that is healthy processing. If the simulation leaves you feeling more wound up, more angry, more hopeless, more drained, that is rumination. One is your brain working for you. The other is your brain working against you. And the moment you can tell the difference, you have already started to take back control. Let's talk about something that almost nobody connects to this: the relationship between fake conversations and self-worth. Here is a pattern that shows up again and again in people who imagine a lot of conversations. The conversations are often about proving something. Proving that they were right. Proving that what happened to them was unfair. Proving that they are not who that person said they were. Proving that they matter. And underneath all of that proving is one quiet, painful belief: I'm not sure I am enough. Not sure I am worthy of respect. Not sure I deserve to take up space. Not sure my feelings are valid. Not sure I have the right to say what I really think. And so the brain creates these imaginary moments where that belief gets challenged, where you finally stand up, where you finally say the thing, where you finally get the acknowledgement you deserved. It is the brain's way of trying to heal a wound it was never given the tools to heal in real life. This is why the people who do this most intensely are often people who grew up in environments where their worth felt conditional, where love came with conditions, where approval had to be earned, where one wrong move could change how someone felt about you. When a child grows up in that environment, they become hypervigilant about social dynamics. They are always reading the room, always calculating, always trying to predict how others are feeling and what that means for their own safety. And when they grow up, that hypervigilance does not just turn off. It goes with them into every relationship, every job, every interaction. And sometimes, late at night, it shows up as a fake conversation. Replaying, analyzing, preparing, trying to finally feel safe in a world that once felt very unsafe. Here is the part that changes everything. Understanding why you do this is not enough. You also need to understand what to do with it. Because the goal is not to stop having these conversations. You probably cannot just switch them off, and trying to force them to stop usually just makes them louder. The goal is to become a witness to them. Instead of being inside the conversation, start watching it from the outside. Like you are watching a documentary about yourself. Who is in this conversation? What are they saying? What do you need from them in this simulation? And then ask the most important question of all. Can I give that to myself? Can I tell myself that I was right to feel hurt? Can I give myself the apology I am waiting for from someone who may never give it? Can I say to my own heart, you were not wrong. What happened to you was not fair. You deserved better. Because here is the truth that most of us never learned. We keep waiting for the other person to say something that makes us feel okay. We keep running the simulation, hoping that this time, in our head, they finally understand. But they are not going to. Not in real life, and not in the simulation either. Because the simulation is not real. It is your brain. And your brain cannot give you what you are looking for from someone else. Only you can do that. There is a moment that some people experience after years of imaginary conversations, a moment of realization. They're in the middle of a simulation, the usual conversation, the usual person, the usual wound. And suddenly something shifts. They realize they are tired, not just physically tired, tired of needing that person to understand, tired of waiting for an apology that is never coming, tired of being in that conversation again and again and again. And in that tiredness, something quietly releases. It does not mean the hurt disappears. It does not mean what happened was okay. It just means the grip loosens a little. The brain starts to let it settle. That moment is not dramatic. Nobody announces it. There is no climactic scene. It is just a quiet exhale, a small step towards something that looks a little like freedom. Let's talk about one more thing before we reach the end. The relationship between these fake conversations and creativity. Because not every mental simulation is painful. Some of them are wonderful. Some people rehearse speeches they will never give, write songs in their head they will never record, have conversations with people they admire, imagine interviews where they finally get to share their real thoughts. Some people have entire inner lives that are richer and more vivid than anything on the outside. And this is not escapism. This is not a problem. This is imagination. This is the raw material of art, of writing, of music, of every creative thing humans have ever made. The inner world is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be curious about. Because the same mind that imagines painful arguments also imagines beautiful things. Possible futures, tender moments, stories that have never been told. Your inner world is not your enemy. It is your most private, most honest, most unfiltered self. And learning to listen to it rather than fight it is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. So here is what we know. You imagine fake conversations because your brain is a prediction machine trying to keep you safe. You imagine them about specific people because those people carry emotional weight you have not yet resolved. You imagine them most when something inside you went unheard, unseen, or unvalidated. The conversations are not really about winning arguments. They are about finally getting what you needed. And the path forward is not to silence the conversations. It is to listen to them differently, to ask what they are telling you about your own unmet needs, to stop waiting for the other person to give you something only you can give yourself. You are not broken. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are a human being with a rich, active, deeply feeling inner world. And that inner world has been trying to tell you something for a long time. Maybe it is finally time to listen. So I want to ask you something. Think about the one conversation you keep having in your head, the one that keeps coming back no matter how many times you think you are done with it. What is it really asking for? Drop it in the comments. Not the whole story. Just one word. What does that conversation need? Closure, respect, apology, love, space, truth. One word. Drop it below. And if this video made you feel less alone in your own head, share it with someone who might need it tonight. Because somewhere right now, someone is lying awake having a fake conversation with someone who hurt them. And maybe they just need to know. They are not the only one.